Deep beneath a temple in India, there's a secret. A vault that, get this, has resisted every single attempt to open it. It's sealed, but not by any kind of lock we'd recognize. No, this is a mystery that seems to blend ancient magic with something that sounds a lot like science. So today, we're going to dive in and try to unravel the legend of the Nagabandham.
First, you gotta understand the context here. In just the last few years, other chambers underneath this very same temple have been opened, and what they found inside was, well, it's beyond belief. Gold, diamonds, priceless artifacts. We're talking billions and billions of dollars worth of treasure. A truly mind-blowing discovery.
But even with all that incredible wealth found, there's still one final chamber. One single door, known as Vault B, that is still sealed shut. And it has had experts and authorities completely stumped for decades.
So that's the big question, right? They've gone through the cords, they've debated using heavy machinery, but that door just stays closed. Why? What could possibly make this one vault so different from all the others they managed to open? Well, according to the legends, the answer isn't in what the lock is made of, but what it is. It doesn't have a name you'd find in some catalog. It's known as the Nagabandham, or the serpent lock. Okay, so let's really get into this, because this is where everything we think we know about locks just goes out the window. A Nagabandham isn't a physical thing with pins and tumblers. It's described as a mystical, keyless barrier made from the sound vibrations of incredibly powerful chants, or mantras. These sounds are said to literally bind divine serpents to act as its guardians. And you can see why that makes it impossible to deal with in a normal way. There's no keyhole to pick, there are no hinges to break, and those carved cobras on the door, they're not just some creepy decoration, they're a warning. The stories say trying to use brute force is not only pointless, it's actually incredibly dangerous. So if you can't just break it down, how in the world was it sealed in the first place? The whole idea is based on this fascinating concept that sound can be used as a tool, or in this case, as the ultimate form of protection. The lore behind it describes this incredible three-step process. First, an enlightened sage, a Siddha Purusha, has to recite a very specific, very powerful mantra. The exact sound waves from that chant are said to call upon these divine serpents, and their energy is what forms this impenetrable, invisible, sonic barrier. It's a lock literally made of sound and spiritual energy. And this really gets to the heart of the puzzle. If the lock was created with sound, the only way to undo it is with sound. You can't use a sledgehammer against a sound wave. You have to find the right key, and in this case, that key is another very specific chant. But who could possibly perform a ritual like that? It's not a skill you can just, pick up from a book. According to the ancient texts, only a very, very specific kind of person could even dream of attempting it. Right, so this is a really crucial point. There's a big difference between these two figures. You have the Siddha Purushas. They're described as truly enlightened sages, with total purity of heart and mind. They are the masters of this. Then on the other hand, you have tantrics. Now they might be practitioners who know similar rituals, but the key difference is they're said to lack that essential spiritual purity. And the legends are very clear. An attempt by anyone other than a true Siddha Purusha could end in absolute disaster. Which brings us to the final fascinating piece of this mystery. We know who needs to do it, and we know it takes a specific sound. So, what is that sound? What is the one and only key that can unlock the Nagabandham? The answer, it said, is another sacred chant, a kind of counter-frequency designed specifically to neutralize the serpent lock. It's known as the Garuda mantra, named for the mythical divine bird who just so happens to be the natural enemy of serpents. But here's the kicker. Just knowing the name of the mantra is completely useless. The conditions you have to meet are, well, they're almost superhuman. You need a Siddha Purusha of the absolute highest level. They have to have flawless pronunciation, perfect intonation. Their spiritual energy, their kundalini, has to be fully awakened and at its peak. The texts are very, very clear. A single misstep, one tiny error in pitch or timing, and the consequences could be catastrophic. So we've gone through the legend of what this lock is and how it's supposed to work. But that really leads us to a much bigger, more fundamental question about how we even interpret this whole thing. And this is really the core debate, isn't it? Are we talking about a genuine supernatural event here, a lock that is literally protected by divine beings? Or could this be evidence of a lost science? Think about it.
An ancient civilization that understood sound and resonance on a level we can't even begin to comprehend. Maybe they mastered things like cymatics, which is the study of how sound can actually shape physical matter.
So you have these two ways of looking at it. The spiritual view says this is a sacred, divine act, something that's just beyond what science can explain. But the ancient technology perspective, that one reframes the whole thing as just highly advanced physics, using precise sound frequencies to create a powerful, stable energy field. Basically a sonic force field.
So we've looked at the mystery, the supposed mechanics, and these two competing ideas. We're left with a lock made of sound, a key made of a perfect chance, and a legend guarding it all. Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Some secrets are powerful, and maybe the real question isn't how we can open the door, but whether we were ever meant to at all.